You're thinking about getting back with your ex? Before you answer, ask yourself whether you're craving comfort or true compatibility. My name is Alexis Friedlander. I'm a therapist, better known as the Avoidant therapist, and I've helped hundreds of clients turn difficult breakups into clarity. Stay with me and I'll walk you through 5 evidence-based signs that tell you getting back with your ex is a good decision. And also 3 red lights that will override everything else. If you're ready to replace wishful thinking with real clarity, hit subscribe and let's dive in. So as I said in the intro, what we need to assess here is this element of compatibility. Now, the problem is when it comes to ourselves, we are usually a bad judge of our relationship decisions, especially after a breakup. So if you have an anxious attachment style, for example, and you have this deep fear of abandonment, then you're going to project this relationship, and getting back together is your way to heal this attachment wound. The challenge here is be quite clear, and when I work with my clients, I'm very clear, adamant, and quite tough on their ex. We need to assess, and that's what we're going to do today. We need to assess whether this new relationship has solved or addressed any problems in the past relationship. i.e., if this breakup is just a break and you resume to where you left the relationship, well, let me spoil you the end, but it's not going to work out. And you're going to stay in the same pattern, and you're going to break up and you're going to suffer. So the point is, okay, what can we assess? What can we measure? I think it's really about measuring things. I'm a bit crazy about this, but I don't think a lot of therapists have this mindset of like, let's measure things, let's prove things, or just rule out things. So that's what we want to do, is to challenge the nostalgia element and gather evidence. You have to understand that what we are doing here is to gut feelings in a way are important, and I'm going to explain you what to do, but that's not what will make you decide properly. What we want is evidence. Evidence, and then as you heal, as you develop a more secure attachment, then you can start listening to your gut. Based on that secure attachment, not based on that fear of abandonment. If you're watching this and wondering if you have any chance of getting back with your ex, or even if it's the right thing to do, I've created a free assessment that gives you clarity. It's based on attachment science, and it will show you whether your ex is still emotionally engaged, if reconnection is possible, and how ready you are mentally and emotionally. What you have to do is just answer a few questions, and you'll get a personalized breakdown within 2 minutes. You can find the link of this assessment below in the description. Sign number 1, consistent, that's the key word, consistent, trackable change. They would say, because right now you're watching the video, okay? You're trying to address things, and I'm grateful that you're here, part of this community, trying to learn about yourself, trying to improve your relationship, trying to find the right relationship. What about them? Because probably they've done things that were not perfect in the relationship. And usually when there's a breakup, it's 50-50. So what are they saying about the relationship? What are they saying about their, I don't know, maybe their fear of commitment, the fact that they withdraw or don't discuss things with you. So that's the first thing. Now, people sometimes, and I used to be like this, they're very good at saying sorry, but then there's nothing after. So for me, I realized that very quickly when I was young. That was like a very kind of, in the Monopoly game, the card that lets you out from prison. I was like, okay, if you say sorry, people think, okay, we don't have to fight. And it's a way for Avoidant to avoid conflict. You just say sorry, up, you give this out of prison card, and people are, off your back. So the point is, what's behind this sorry? What's after? Is there any follow through? Do they really understand what happened? Do they really understand the consequences of their action? If you can't answer those questions, be aware. So the point is, yes, you need to hear them saying whether they're sorry or whether they realize the hurt or their behaviors, and also assessing whether over time, consistently, And under stress, you see that new behavior. One unbiased way to assess this is to ask friends, people who know your ex, whether they see that as well. So very often with my clients, when they see progress, they can tell me, oh yeah, everybody tells me he's changed or she's changed. So it's not only you. Okay, again, remember this image, gut feel, evidence. You need a bit of both, but mostly evidence. If you can't measure it, challenge it. And that's very important to be able to, okay, what happened last time we met? What happened last time I discussed about that? We'll discuss about the feeling of how you feel after the conversation yesterday. That's the first sign. Changes that are consistent and that you can track. Sign number 2, shared vision. So especially if you're trying to get back with an avoidant, a dismissive avoidant, there's this idea of let's go with the flow, we'll see, right? And if you want to develop a relationship, let me be very clear. You have every right to want to know where the relationship goes. You have every right to ask about the future. So you need to assess, as you try to repair the relationship, whether you have conversations around timelines, finances, family, lifestyle. Sometimes it's just a question of clashing lifestyle, and doing this work, you realize that you have lifestyles that are not compatible. So sometimes you can be in love with someone who cannot make you happy because you have different lifestyles. And so it's just figuring out the compromise of whether you want a life that's not meeting your needs or a relationship on your terms or things that would work. So that's another topic around non-negotiables and expressing your needs. But that's very important to assess those things. You also have to assess the language. Again, something you can measure. In the conversations, when you see them, the someday we'll see, 2 things where they take the lead. They organize dates. They want to see you. They follow up. They say we. They invite you at their place. They want you to meet their friends, their families, etc., etc. These are things you can measure. And the same as sign number 1, it's something that you need to be seeing consistently. You don't have to wait for 10 years to figure out, okay, that's consistent, but at least a few weeks. That's why when I work with my clients, it's usually over a period of time, short enough so you don't stay ruminating and confronting things that's sometimes painful, but long enough for you to have this element and be able to track the data over a period of time. So that's sign number 2. Sign number 3, which is, by the way, something that needs to happen in any relationship, and if you get back together, this is key. It's this idea that disagreement is one step before growth. As an avoidant, even to this day, there's a side of me still scared of confronting, of discussing things, being scared of being judged. Now, obviously, I know better. My rational part of the brain knows that, hold on, this is actually an opportunity to grow together. So what it means, let me just for 30 seconds explain this concept. When you disagree with someone, with your partner, there's 2 outcomes. One leading to resentment. We don't solve anything. We keep our position. We don't understand the other's point of view, their world. And we drift apart because and a lot of people, 80%, I think if I remember correctly from Gottman, 80% or 85% of the arguments with relationships are always the same because we keep on getting back to these conversations around, I don't know, could be about your job, could be about your parents, could be about your in-laws, etc., etc. If you solve this, your relationship is guaranteed will be stronger, right? Because a disagreement is just like, we're not aligned. As soon as you fix the disagreement, you're aligned and you're stronger. Because I call that pragmatic empathy. is the idea of when we disagree, it's a clash of the way we see the world. And we have to accept that the way we see the world is very unique. And therefore, we need to, A, understand our cognitive bias, our triggering elements, our history of why we see the world in a certain way. And be curious about how your partner sees the world. If you have a strong understanding of your partner's world, and they have too, a strong understanding of their partner, of your world, it's not that you're never going to fight. You will always disagree on things. But it's not going to be you versus me anymore. It's going to be, okay, we disagree on something. Let's be a team and discuss this together. That could be another topic for another video. But if you master this skill, it's not that you're never going to have problems in your relationship, but this element of resentment, or you drift apart, you will address 90% of this. And so that's why you have to learn nonviolent communication on how you express your needs, about starting from your feeling, not judging, especially if you speak with an avoidant partner, when they hear, you never do this, you always do that. Those statements, of course, the way they would receive it is like, it's an attack, and I don't want to respond. I want to withdraw. I want to go back in my cave. And so the process of getting back or repairing a relationship, also, it's important to learn and develop those skills. Things that we should learn at school, by the way, around effective communication, around nonviolent communication. It's something that I help my clients do either on one-on-one or when we do workshops as well with other people from the cohort of our coaching program. So the idea is, after a conflict, yes, in the moment of a conflict, that's not nice. You don't want to have this conversation. You're upset, you're angry, or you feel misunderstood. But after this conflict, just sit with yourself and try to see how you feel. So we are getting back to the gut element. Whether you feel understood, whether you feel you made progress, or whether you feel like, okay, it's back again to where we had, to the challenges that we had, to this idea of push-pull. So it's very important to address and be clear. That's why you need to, at the same time, not trusting yourself when it comes to that fear of abandonment, but at the same time, trusting yourself with, do I feel hurt? Do I feel I'm the only one trying to repair things? Do I feel I'm the adult in the room? Okay, so ask yourself those questions. And if you can't answer those questions, we'll see. Sign number 4 is around emotional safety. So especially if you have an anxious attachment style, this is very important. And this is also where people get it wrong. They assume, oh, I have unrealistic needs. So the point of the work that I do with my clients, and again, it's something that you can do on your own, is, okay, assessing what is a secure response? What are the expectations in terms of a relationship? And I'm pretty sure you had secure, a lot of people that I speak with, they have had secure relationships in the past. It's just that they met someone who had an avoidant attachment style and their world is upside down and they can't trust themselves anymore. So the point is, again, do you feel you can ask things? Do you think you can have your physical, emotional needs met? Do you feel that whenever you're with them or you texting them, you're walking on eggshells or you feel safe? Do you feel they are consistent? So again, that's something very important. A lot of people who have an anxious attachment style, they are familiar with inconsistency, and that's how they developed this anxious attachment style. Something well documented in the book Attached, I would recommend you to buy if you haven't. If you have to buy a book on attachment theory, buy the book Attached. Then you can buy mine to support. But the book Attached is really a reference, and I think it's very easy to read. And it talks about this idea of roller coaster things, feelings when you have an anxious attachment style. You crave the highs and the lows of the relationship. And so whenever a partner is consistent, you label them as boring, not exciting, because you associate excitement with love. No, love is showing up. love is feeling safe, right? So that's why, again, the gut feel, you have to be aware of the secure gut feel. In other words, can you be yourself with this person? If you feel that you have to censor yourself, that you can't express things, that you're scared of asking, that's a sign that it's not the right relationship. Because if you project this relationship long term, again, slowly but surely, you're going to be in two different worlds. Because if right now, as you try to repair the relationship, you feel you can't be yourself, you can't express things, well, imagine in 10 years' time, because you will have accumulated years and years of you shutting down, not being yourself, closing yourself. The relationship that you deserve, the relationship that I wish you find, is a relationship where you can nurture, where you feel alive, when you feel connected, right? If you don't feel any form of growth as part of the relationship, this is not the right relationship. And I'm not saying it should always be with your ex. And I'm just saying it's just you will find it. It's not a question of whether. I have so many cases of clients who thought, I'm too old, I live in a small town, etc., etc. And I can find you like all the cases. As soon as you understand what you need, as you unlearn some of the patterns, you will find the relationship. I trust you. It's not unbelief. I see that. So remember that emotional safety is a non-negotiable. Don't think, oh, you have 3 signs out of 5. No, it's a non-negotiable. Because long term, if you don't feel safe emotionally with your partner, this is not a relationship. And maybe you can be friends and you should be friends with your ex. Maybe that they are friend materials and not partner material. That's the idea of having this video, is to help you reflect on, okay, maybe I was wrong about the potential, about what we could have. And maybe that was the case. And it's just about like unlearning this and accepting that this relationship is a friendship. Or something different, but actually something that is not exactly what you need in terms of relationship, right? And the secure response is to say, I don't need that, I don't want that, so I won't have that. Okay, so that's sign number 4. Sign number 5, and after I give you the 3 red lights, sign number 5, again, how can we make sure that it's evidence based and not just gut feel? When the world is telling you you're right, when your friends, when your therapist, when your most brutally honest friend tells you, I see change. I see you're different. I see he or she's different. I've never seen like you like this. This is a strong sign. And that's why therapy or coaching helps a lot, because it helps you to see the blind spot. So obviously, if we work together, I won't be able to replace, and I shouldn't replace your friends and your support network, because they know you best. They probably know your ex better than I do. And so you should also use these people in your life. Again, we are trying to see what's real. We are creating stories in our mind that reflect on our insecurities. Our friends, they don't have these stories. They don't have this emotional connection, this fear of abandonment towards our ex. So they will tell you not the truth, but their reality. And it's by adding all those data points that you'll be able to say, okay, this is the right relationship. This is the right decision for me. I've analyzed those 5 things, and I know I'm on track, and I know I'm not dreaming. It's something that would work for me. And I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask yourself in a second. 3 red lights that will override all the signs. Very important, and I should always include those caveats sometimes. Any form of abuse, physical, emotional, financial, it's a non-negotiable. I don't have to expand on this. It makes sense. Again, sometimes you just need a wake-up call from a friend, from someone who we're just not there to tell you what you need to listen, but how they feel about the situation. Whether there's addiction that's untreated or they hide it, again, that's not healthy. You're going to end up in an imbalanced dynamic. And more generally, one-sided effort. When you're still the one pushing the relationship, driving the relationship. Now, on this one, when you have an anxious attachment style and you try to repair a relationship with an avoidant, the problem is usually what happens, in an ideal world, we don't want this to happen this way, but that's how it works. It's usually the anxious partner who would make the first step. That doesn't mean you should lead the way all the way. But sometimes my approach, and that's after having helped tons of people, that's what works. You have to lead the way. You have to break the ice sometimes. Just take the lead at the beginning. You just break the ice and you see how it goes. So yes, sometimes you have to be the one initiating, being the project manager at the beginning. And after a while, assess whether they'll take ownership. Right, that's very important. If throughout the process, you look back and feel, I'm always the one initiating, I'm always the one suggesting to do things. Yes, when they are with you, they are very kind, they appreciate the time. But again, you are the one driving things. That's a bad sign. Because you want someone who shows up. You want someone, and you deserve someone who's there for you, right? You need an adult in the room with you. So these are the 3 red lights, and don't compromise on those red lights, please. And if you have any doubts or any questions on that, let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help if you're not sure. Sometimes and I'm more than happy to give you that pep talk if you need someone who won't necessarily tell you nice things, because sometimes the nice things you want to hear, are not the right things to hear. So here are 3 questions you can ask yourself, and maybe pause the video here and write them down. Maybe questions that you can also ask week 0, week 1, week 2, etc. Do I feel myself with them or without them? Do I feel my boundaries are respected? Do I need to repeat myself about those boundaries? Again, we have this idea of am I the only adult in the room? If I need to remind, if I need to explain again and again, to teach them, he's or she's a 7-year-old kid, that's not a relationship with 2 adults. Can you describe, again, this idea of describing is factual, evidence, how the relationship is different. If you have a yes on all of 3, well done. This could be the right relationship. This could be a good idea to get back with them. If you have a no on any, maybe it's just a snapshot. That's why I think it's important to ask yourself those questions over the course of, the next 3 months, for example. Take it slow, but be factual. Really measure things. Don't, again, this feeling of it was nice, we were together, and then you feel the whole week after empty, stressed, walking on eggshells because you don't know what to send by text, etc., etc. So it's very important to be, and I think if you're struggling right now and you need clarity and you feel stuck, just do this. That will make a huge difference in your experience. Getting back with your ex needs to feel like an upgrade. It's not let's resume things. It needs to feel like an upgrade. And so, as I said throughout the video, it's about challenging your gut feel toward a secure gut feel. The gut feel after a breakup, especially when you have an anxious attachment style, is around the loss aversion. And so my gut feel, my impulse is to recover the relationship because that will give you my validation, my sense of self-worth. The gut feel around secure gut feel is I can't feel myself. I'm walking on eggshells. So sometimes we dismiss those emotions when we have an anxious attachment style, because this idea of abandonment, of validation takes the lead. No, a relationship is a relationship where you feel I'm connected with this person, I can be myself. Of course, it's a process. The idea of getting and having a yes on all those questions is something that you need to develop. I won't be able to predict, so that's probably the most common questions I get on my calls. Whether I can predict the outcome, I cannot. I can give you my gut feel, which is based on years of helping people in similar situations, but I'm sometimes wrong. The point here is to accept the uncertainty, but also accept that if you do the right things, the outcome will always be based on the certainty that you've decided what's best for you. Not your inner child that has this deep fear of abandonment. Not your parents, not society, not, I don't know, whatever pressure you have. You will decide what's best for you. And this time, the relationship is around you, your terms, your boundaries, your self-respect, how you feel in the relationship. And this time, you choose you.